If there's anybody here, speak now. Lights. Oh, there are more lights. We're here. It's been too quiet. I'm used to the building settling, and not hearing it settle
is unsettling.
This is gonna be a weird, the energy in this episode.
It's gonna be very much us.
It's gonna be so us. Third floor, an event space, and sometimes a spiritually eventful place. Is that good? Is that a I don't know if that's gonna work. So we're on the third floor of the Lyon County History Center, which makes it the Sinister Saga of the Lyon County History Center, presented by the Lyon County History Center. Very brief history of the History Center itself. So it started in the 1930s, 1937, I think. It's had like a bunch of different locations. I would say probably the most famous one up until now, of course, would be the old Carnegie Library that's over by the public library, which was actually donated by Plum, the land for that was. So we are once again talking about the Plums. It stayed in the Carnegie Library for a long time, and then in 2016 they came here to this building, 7-Eleven Commercial. So yeah, in case you've been watching this and you don't know, the History Center is now located at 7-Eleven Commercial, not at the old library, or the old Carnegie Library, I guess I should say. The library, what used to be the library that's now next to the public library. I mean, this building's got some pretty interesting history. 2016 it became the History Center, which is so nice because according to Lisa, it's more than doubled our storage capacity, which is very nice because we got a lot of things to store. But we're not really here to talk about the building itself necessarily. Today we are here to discuss the spooky happenings in this building. We're not using the elevator tonight. We're getting our steps in today. It's we're using all the stairs today. I don't like the elevator.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
It's kind of scary. And also sometimes it just makes loud buzzing noises, and I can't handle that tonight. So, have you ever had it? You do the loud buzzing noise at you?
So, okay, story time.
Okay.
If you remember, right before we went to go film Bird Bridge, I came up here looking for batteries. And smart me decided to take the elevator by myself. And I come up, everything's all fine and dandy. Kitchen, start looking through boxes. Swear I heard a footstep and felt like a person walked right behind me. Just one good old that, like right next to me. Turn around, I was like, oh, maybe Will came to help me out. No, you were not there.
No, I was downstairs. I was talking to Lisa about our plans.
Booked it out of there, back onto the elevator. Bad decision, because that's when it started doing the beeping and stuff, and I said, no thank you. And then we went to Bird Bridge. So that's my story of the third floor.
I don't have a lot of stories of the third floor. Sometimes I think that I hear footsteps up here. And that's like the majority of it. Yeah, except that we also do have pigeons that like nest in the windows that are up here. So sometimes I think it might be pigeons. I've definitely seen them there before, and it does shock me a little bit whenever they start pecking on the window when they can see me. But sometimes pigeons are spookier than ghosts.
To be fair, we don't spend a whole lot of time up here.
Yeah, no, we don't actually spend that much time up here. I do eat lunch up here on occasion, which is quite nice. Which is, of course, when I've heard most of the footsteps. I don't spend a lot of time up here. I spend most of my time in the archives, almost as though I'm the archivist. We can show off the space a little bit more. It's very nice. Kitchen is very nice. Nice, spacious kitchen with such features as counters, fridge, 2 sinks, a coffee pot, and a dishwasher. The thing that gets me is that like you felt that footstep, because like hearing them is one thing, feeling footsteps is a whole other thing.
Like, yeah, like I felt like I could like physically like feel the leg just.
Cool.
Like I totally spent a second where I was like, why did Will come up here? Like, what? And then I was like, how did he walk from that door clear over here without making any noise in this room that you can hear everything?
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. You can't walk across this floor without making noise. Like, not like normal people walk, unless you're like intentionally trying to sneak up on somebody.
No, it's not possible.
It's just not possible. Now, that right there, that's the window where I always see the pigeons that keep pecking on the window whenever I'm up here. I'm just trying to make my sandwich, and the pigeons are like, I'm gonna bang on the window. I'm like, I wish you wouldn't. They're like, I'm gonna bang on the window. And I think they do it on purpose. But yeah, so that's the third floor. Spooky in that it is large. Second floor. So now I will say, I've definitely heard more things here than I have on the third floor.
We spent a lot of time in the building and things happen here. We will be sitting in our office on the mezzanine. We're the only ones in the building, and we will hear something hit the floor above us and roll. The problem with that is it's carpet. Typically you wouldn't expect to hear it roll. We go up there and check. We've checked several times, nothing up there, no one up there. So that's very odd. We also hear thumps and that manner of thing, and we're the only ones here.
And I don't know if you remember, but it was a couple Saturdays ago. You were at lunch, and I was sitting in my office, and all of a sudden I just heard what sounded like a banging and a scraping coming from above my head, and I was like, Anyssa didn't say that there was anybody on the second floor. So I messaged you and I was like, hey, is there anybody on the second floor right now? And you were like, no. And I was like, okay. And then you got back and that was me moving, I promise.
I'm a little on edge.
I know.
But not.
I mean, you could go stand at the edge of the stairs and then be on edge. So whenever you got back, we had to come up here and like look around and where nothing was out of place, but that's not the only time that that's happened. Because Greg and Lisa were sitting in their offices and they both heard something like crash and roll. And Lisa came up and looked and there was just nothing. Are the ghosts trying to rearrange the second floor for us? Does that make them employees?
You should probably think about paying them.
Well, probably. I mean, they live here rent-free, so a lot of people think that artifacts carry a lot of energy with them. Makes total sense to me. We've had Flint Hills Paranormal come out before and do investigations. Have several artifacts that are purported to be haunted. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph down in the basement apparently are haunted, which is a thing to say, I guess. I mean, they did come from a hospital, so. But yeah, we got all sorts of stuff up here. So there's this train conductor uniform over here that I am just convinced that one day I'm gonna walk by it and the sleeve of it is just gonna like pull up and wave at me, you know, like there's somebody just in it, just waving. I don't know why I'm so convinced. I think it's because it looks a little too human-like and I forget it's there. Walt's the one that always gets me. I don't know about you, but every single time that I come up the stairs and the lights are off, I'm like, oh, who was that? It's Walt Mason. Now, something that I will say is not haunted is probably this piano, mostly because anytime that you hear the piano being played, it is because somebody else is actually playing it. I don't think it's any of the uniforms up here, not that I remember anyway, but I do know that there was a uniform, which I believe might be down in the basement now, that whenever Flint Hills Paranormal was here, they got like a lot of activity, a lot, like EMF, dowsing rods, flashlight, all sorts of stuff. This is also where I swear I heard that scraping and banging one time. It honestly sounded like they were moving the cases and stuff like that. I guess for me, what I like about investigating in the History Center and talking about it is that I think it gives you a more tangible look at how objects can hold on to energy. There was a lot of cultures that believed as long as you were talking about a person, their memory, their spirit would remain here. Do you believe that? Then it would totally make sense that you have like artifacts and stuff like that, which I mean, like, we're in a museum. We have no shortage of artifacts. If you believe that talking about a person or a place or something like that keeps that memory, that spirit alive, then, well, yeah, no wonder museums and stuff are so haunted. I like talking about ghosts and stuff like that in the History Center simply because I think it gives a unique opportunity to talk both about fact and about folklore. Well, I'm gonna say this. One of the things I'm really interested in having, and because I don't know if everybody knows this, because by the time this comes out, it'll be about a week before. But Flint Hills Paranormal is actually having an investigation here. So if you've enjoyed any of these videos, I would highly recommend that you come to the investigation done by Flint Hills Paranormal here at the History Center. It's November 6th. So if you're interested in stuff like that, you should definitely come check it out.
We are going to have a paranormal investigation here in a week. I'm anxious to see what they find. I have been on 2 other paranormal investigations, and I was skeptical, but things happened. Unexplainable things. Sounds, even voices at some point. So just because you don't understand something or that you're not aware of something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So again, things happen in this building, and I want to see what it is.
It's going to be the first time that they've come investigated since we got this beauty here. So very excited to see if we get anything off of that. One of the bank teller cages from Oldie State Bank. Is it not focusing? Well, fascinating that you're, right there by you were trying to focus there on the window and it wasn't focusing. Yeah, I'm very excited for them to check this out, not only because I like talking about the history of artifacts and stuff like that, but also because I feel like a bank's seen a lot of things happen, and if there's anything attached to this, I think we're going to get some good evidence for it. So, yeah, I will say we are also standing by something that I don't think is haunted, but I do not like the vibe of. I have never liked the vibe of popcorn.
Just in general, or the specific poppers?
No, just specifically the guy, Mr. Popcorn himself. I do not like him.
Focus on him, dude.
Don't say that.
He just kind of looked like he's up to no good.
We have not, but there have been a sighting by at least 3 different people of a short, squatty guy dressed in a short sleeve white shirt and a tie, carrying shoeboxes. I told this story on the radio the other day, and somebody came in and said, "Hey, that's Eddie Buck. Eddie worked there forever." That description of him is true. So now it's Eddie. Eddie is still selling shoes here, apparently. Again, 3 different people at 3 different times without any conversation between them saw him.
So you said you had an experience on the mezzanine?
Yeah. So.
Okay, I have not heard this one.
Very creepily shadowed right now, which I think fits the mood perfectly. So.
I can be more imposing.
Once upon a time, I used to work Sundays, and I was all alone on Sundays. So I'd be sitting at my desk over there, and I hear right around this area, kind of maybe similar to what you experienced above you, kind of like a pushing, like maybe someone was moving a piece of furniture, kind of a crashing sound like that. I did not investigate because I was by myself, and that's how every horror movie starts.
Being up here reminds me of another thing that, now it didn't happen to me, but I was part of the so-called investigation of it afterwards. So there was one night where Lisa was here and she was taking a nap on Greg's couch because Greg was in a meeting. She said that she woke up all of a sudden because it sounded like somebody was shaking the back doors, and it woke her up. And she said that whenever she went down to investigate it, because it was around the holidays, so we had a wreath on one of the back doors, and she said that the wreath had fallen down. She was talking to Greg and the employee at the time, Noelle, talking to us about that, and Greg was like, "Well, we have cameras. Why don't we just look?" And so we went back to the day, and we went back to the time, and there was a time skip. You couldn't quite see the doors. Lisa knew what time she had been woken up and everything, and there was a time skip right where she had been woken up. There was something I think a 5 to 8 minute time skip. You could barely see the wreath on the door, right? And then there was a time skip, and the wreath was on the floor. Yeah, I think it was the first time where I was like, huh, that was funky, because I don't automatically believe that things are ghosts. There could be a host of other things, again, we are oh yeah, well, we hear footsteps a lot. It's an old building. Old buildings settle. I will say footsteps is a bit different than a building settling.
But sometimes, you only experience something once, it's hard to say what it actually
Exactly.
The building is roughly 100 years old, so you would expect some creaking, but not like this is different than that. So there's something here, there's an energy here. I don't feel it to be malicious, of a poltergeist nature. but there's definitely energy here in this old building. It was a department store. It was built to be Montgomery Ward's, so you would assume a lot of good memories. People would come here. They had toys and sporting goods, so typically something of enjoyment. People want to buy that sort of thing. So I don't know. It's hard to explain.
You know, I will say I have not had a lot of experiences on the first floor.
I didn't feel safer and welcomed on the first floor.
I will say I've never felt bad energy here. I have had some weird things happen to me in the archives. You can go back into the archives. I have to apologize. I'm still rearranging the archives. I was back here. I call them the stacks. I was in the stacks, and I don't know how to describe it, because I was back here and there were some people working along the computers in this back area where we have a lot of volunteers working on things. And all I can say is that, like, I just felt like there was somebody suddenly beside me looking in the boxes, like looking for things at the same time. And I was like, did a volunteer just like walk up and I didn't even notice? No, there was nobody there. But it felt like it felt like somebody took something off the shelf, basically, is what it was. When you take a box off the shelf, you know, like, it's a bit of a heft, you know? And so, like, it makes this sort of weird movement. It wasn't like the box, like, physically moved off the shelf or anything like that. It just felt like somebody had just, like, pulled one of the boxes off of the shelves right next to me, and there was nobody there.
A short, squatty guy carrying shoeboxes. That's Eddie Buck.
I've never had that happen again, and like this was back before I rearranged, so like things were like a little bit closer and things maybe stuck out a little bit more, so maybe I like brushed something and didn't realize, but it was weird. It was very weird.
Again, we go back to talking about like the difference between like hearing something and like, feeling.
And feeling something, yeah, because I mean, like, with hearing things, again, it's an old building. One of us could go up on the second floor and we could just have a conversation with each other. But it was just that feeling that, like, somebody had taken a box off right next to me. I don't know if I've ever told anybody that story, because, like, it's not one that I think about a whole lot, but I was trying to think of, like, experiences and stuff that I've had here, and that one just came rushing back to me. It was super weird. Sometimes I forget that there are really big windows. So, like, if people walk by, you will see their reflection. Wow, I did not realize there was a car out there, and I thought that there was just like a giant orb outside that window. Yeah, I forget that we have big windows right there, so sometimes I think that I'll see faces pass by, and it's just people walking by in the windows. I just don't really have a lot of stories about the first floor myself. I mean, like, the archives, yeah, I've got a couple, you know, like some weird creaks and stuff where there shouldn't be creaks, the box thing, but yeah, I don't do nothing too crazy. Basement, on the other hand, like, I always just expect to see a face just like looking at me, and I do fully expect that one day Lisa will be down there and she will hear me like start walking towards the bathroom, and we'll do that. So, fun fact, whenever I first started working here, I refused to go to the basement by myself. Now, part of this is because, as a general rule, I don't like basements. I don't know why. I don't like basements until the tornado signs start going off, and then you can't get me out of the basement. And I will say, I have had several unexplainable experiences in the basement. Like, things that I just, I cannot come up with a rational explanation for.
Yeah.
But again, the basement's also where we keep a lot of our storage. So we've got a lot of textiles down there too, which my friend too used to work here. My friend started working there whenever they were like moving the old history center over. And so they said that multiple times in the textile room, they would just get like phantom touches and stuff like that. I can go down to the basement by myself now. What did I just step on? I don't know. I will say, I usually have music playing, or I have another person with me. And since I have another person with me, I'm not gonna play music. So, the basement. I'm gonna have to turn on lights as we go, because there's not an easy way to turn on all of the lights. But, oh God, I forgot Mary and Joseph and Jesus were over there. Every time I happen to look over that way, I forget that Jesus, Mary, and Joseph are over there, and it scares me every single time. I don't know why I forget they're over there. I'm pretty sure we're the ones who put them there after we have to move them after cleaning them up from the flood and everything. But yeah, this is where I would say I've had probably the most experiences. And again, I think it comes down to, you know, if there are things holding on to this, apparently they're holding on to the textiles, because my friends had phantom touches and stuff like that. And I will say, I was not doing anything with the textiles. I don't actually do a whole lot with a lot of the things down here because I work in the archives and not with the artifacts. I can work with the artifacts if I need to, but usually I'm working with documents and stuff. But I was, okay, where was I? I was over here. Why is the map case open? That's fine. There could be a lot of reasons why the map case is open. Which one is it? It's not haunted. But I was over here and I was actually working with the map cases and stuff like that. And I just all of a sudden just felt just something go just whoosh right down my arm. Like something touched me all the way down my arm. And there was literally nothing. Like nothing could have touched me. There's a distinct difference between, you know, like having like something like move like your clothing and stuff like that, and then something going like that down your arm. It's not the only time I've had like I feel like people have like poked me and stuff like that before. Now again, sometimes these are pretty tight quarters, you know, especially if you're pulling things off. So like I'm not convinced that all of them could have been like potential ghostly evidence or anything like that. But that one where I was at the map case in particular, it's just one that I cannot explain. If I accidentally brushed up against this or, you know, like one of these other boxes, totally would feel like somebody's like poked you in the shoulder or something like that, right? That's what it could have been. But that one over by the map case.
Oh my gosh.
Did you forget that they were over there? Every time, every single time. I don't know if they're haunted or not, but whatever it is, something about them just makes you forget that they're down here until you turn around and you're just like, oh God, they're there.
Yeah, I looked up from the camera for like 1 second and I saw like a little face.
I don't know why these in particular just have that sort of... Lisa doesn't, I think that Lisa doesn't think that they have that much energy to them, but... Yeah, we get back in here, and I mean, we just start getting into more artifacts. I would oftentimes hear things, you know, like it would sound like something maybe got like rustled through or moved and stuff like that. Sometimes like some weird scraping noises. But yeah, it just, I don't know that it's necessarily that like I have a lot of experiences here, just more that like it's very close quarters and there's a lot of things down here. So sometimes it just feels like there's a lot of things or a lot of people. I sometimes feel like objects can carry a weight with them, regardless of whether or not you believe it's haunted. I think that sometimes, you know, things that you have are like there's just a lot, like you can just sort of feel the history behind them. Oh, here's Preston's saddle. Yeah, this is Preston Plum's saddle, which was given to him by his men after the Civil War. So again, that's another thing where I'm like, you know, like this holds weight, this holds meaning.
I hate looking down this way without...
Yeah, I don't like it without the lights either. I don't think it is. I don't think you can see it. It's tilted the wrong way. This is gonna get into a little like internet culture meme. You know the, you know I had to do it to him guy? The joke is that looking down like the end of like a long hallway and he's just there. Well, at one point I printed out a picture of him and stuck him on the fridge that was down at the end of this. No longer expect to see a ghost. I expect to see a little internet meme man just, you know I had to do it to him. Right here is you've got like all of your military stuff, which is another thing that people often believe are quite haunted. Is the mummy's foot down here? Is that up there? Oh, you've never seen the mummy's foot? So first of all, why do we have a mummy's foot? Because of Mosier, who just collected things. He just collected things, and so one of the things that we have is an actual mummy's foot, which I will now reveal to you if you've never seen it. It's a little gross. Yeah. I don't think the foot's haunted, let me be clear. I just find it a little funny that we here at the Lyon County History Center have a straight up mummy's foot.
Usually I come this direction and
It's it's just a long, dark hallway.
I feel like I can make myself see things.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that is actually a recorded, like, psychological phenomena, and
Yeah, let's turn my light back on.
your eyes will start, like, seeing things in the dark if you're there, or, like, if it's too quiet, you'll start hearing things, which is something that I always keep in mind. But sometimes things like physical touch, I can't explain that one. You know, I think our basement, in terms of, you know, like, what it holds is unique, because, like, even if you divorce that folklore of, you know, like, people don't like being in basements. Basements are often, you know, thought to be haunted and stuff. Even if it's not a basement, we still have a lot of things down here. And it's like I said, you know, like, sometimes the artifacts themselves just have a sort of weight to them, you know. But then again, if you throw in that more, I guess, spiritualistic aspect of it, if you like your beliefs about the afterlife and stuff, then it becomes, you know, like, it's another just type of folklore that I think, again, I just feel like oftentimes the connection between folklore and history is just so underexplored. I love the fact that I can just go and talk to my bosses and be like, hey, so I heard footsteps up there, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah. I was excited to do the History Center, honestly, just because, like, it is a place where multiple people have had experiences.
Our old location, just as an aside, the original Emporia Public Library, we were in that building for almost 40 years. My office door, I would open it when I got there in the morning, and by noon it was almost closed. This happened every single day. If I didn't put something heavy in front of it, it would push. Say I would put I don't know, whatever, a pop can, filled pop can. It would push that pop can out of the way. And again, this happened every day. It was a heavy door with no discernible breeze. I was in that building a lot by myself, heard noises all the time. Lights would turn on and off. Noises of someone coming up and down the stairs. So again, there's energy around us. And there are those that are trained to hear it and discern it. I'm one that just is one that hears it and then is concerned about it.
I like being able to, you know, talk about the History Center, talk about the history here all the time, right? I don't often get to talk about, like, the folkloric aspect of, you know, the place that I work. You know, like, the History Center is not just for one culture, it's for multiple cultures. So why do we have this many beliefs about the things that happen at the History Center? Why are museums so haunted? I think it's an opportunity to talk about, like, the multiple cultures that come in here, because all cultures have their own different folkloric beliefs. And, you know, whenever you start getting people living together, eventually those things meld and become their own thing. And since, you know, history is culture, I think that it's a missed opportunity to not talk about, like, cultural history has come together to create all of these beliefs. I just think it's a really unique area to be able to talk about that.